Lily Morgan's disappearance shook the quiet town of Redwood Hills in ways no one expected. She wasn't the type of girl to run away. Everyone knew that. The night she vanished, a heavy fog rolled in from the forest, swallowing the sky and muffling every sound, as if the woods themselves wanted silence. At the bonfire, her friends said she stepped away for just a moment, walking toward the tree line after hearing something no one else heard. When Ethan arrived at the scene the next morning, he found a circle of carved symbols in the dirt symbols that radiated faint heat, as if they had been burned into the ground from beneath. Sheriff Daniels dismissed them as a prank, but Ethan felt a cold certainty crawl up his spine. This wasn't a runaway case. This was something older, something Redwood Hills had buried for decades. As he knelt in the dirt, he noticed the trees around him leaning inward, all pointing toward a hidden path swallowed by shadows. Locals whispered about the old ritual, a curse that resurfaced every 30 years, demanding a chosen girl. Ethan didn't believe in legends until Lily became part of one. Ethan's pulse pounded as he and Harper stepped into the forest, determined to find Lily before it was too late. The deeper they walked, the stranger the air felt. Thicker, heavier, carrying the faint scent of iron. The usual sounds of nature were gone, no birds, no wind, only an unnatural stillness that made every step feel like an intrusion. Harper paused when she noticed markings carved into the bark of the trees, long vertical lines crossed by jagged slashes. They formed a trail, almost like a coded map leading them forward. As the sun began to set, the forest changed. Shadows stretched unnaturally long, bending in directions that defied the fading light. Then came the chanting, soft at first, distant, but unmistakably human. Ethan froze, gripping Harper's arm as dark figures moved between the trees. Their outlines were distorted, as if the forest warped around them. Harper lifted her flashlight, but the beam flickered violently before cutting out entirely. A cold breeze brushed Ethan's ear, carrying a whisper he couldn't understand. It wasn't Lily's voice. It wasn't human. They weren't alone anymore, and whatever watched them was waiting. The forest grew darker with every step as Ethan and Harper stumbled upon something they never expected. A hidden bunker entrance buried beneath a blanket of vines. Glowing red handprints smeared across the door pulsed faintly like living veins. Harper reached for her phone to record it, but the screen glitched with static before she even hit the button. A low hum vibrated through the ground, drawing their attention toward a clearing ahead. They crouched behind fallen logs, forcing themselves to stay silent as hooded figures emerged from the darkness. Their faces were concealed behind carved wooden masks stained crimson. One figure held a small silver chain, Lily's necklace. Ethan had given it to her on her 16th birthday, and now it dangled like a trophy. The cult members formed a circle around a fire that burned an unnatural shade of red. Their chanting grew louder, vibrating through Harper's chest like a second heartbeat. She managed to record a few seconds before her phone shockingly shut off. When she turned it back on, the video was gone, replaced by a message she never typed: "Turn back." The forest seemed to close in around them as if obeying the warning. Ethan refused to turn back. Desperation drove him and Harper to find answers, leading them to Caleb Rourke, the only known survivor of the cult's ritual 30 years earlier. Caleb lived alone in a decaying cabin at the edge of town, newspapers covering the windows and a dozen locks bolted to the door. When he opened it, his eyes were hollow yet frantic, as if he expected something to leap from the shadows. He didn't want to talk, but the moment he heard Lily's name, his expression changed. He invited them in, trembling as he spoke of the ritual. He described the cult as the Red Hollow, worshippers of something buried beneath Redwood Hills long before the town existed. He said it wasn't just a ritual, but a pact, a sacrifice demanded to keep something ancient asleep. Every 30 years, the woods chose a girl marked by whispers only she could hear. Caleb rolled up his sleeve, revealing scarred symbols carved into his skin, the same ones Ethan found in the dirt. He warned them the woods were alive, aware, and once the ritual began, it would not stop until it consumed its chosen offering. His final words chilled them. If Lily heard the whisper, it's already too late. Ethan didn't want to believe it, but that night he heard Lily's voice echoing from the forest. It wasn't faint. It was clear, pleading, calling his name with the same softness she used when they were kids. Harper tried to convince him it was a trick, but the voice grew louder, more desperate, pulling at every memory he held of his sister. Against Harper's warnings, he followed the sound into the woods. The trees swayed without wind, parting as if guiding him. The voice led them to a massive hollow tree glowing faintly from within. Ethan stepped closer, mesmerized. Lily was crying inside. He could hear her sobs echoing from the hollow. He reached in, whispering her name. In an instant, a blood-soaked hand shot out and clamped around his wrist with inhuman strength. The tree's inner walls writhed like living flesh, trying to pull him in. Harper screamed, grabbing Ethan and yanking him back with all her strength. The tree snapped shut like a jaw, barely missing him. The forest went silent again, suffocatingly still. Ethan stared at his bruised wrist, realizing the truth. Lily might be alive, but the forest wasn't trying to help her. It wanted another sacrifice. Determined to end this nightmare, Ethan and Harper followed Caleb's directions to the heart of Redwood Hills' forbidden forest. After hours of navigating twisted trails and unnatural cold pockets, they found it, the ancient stone altar. It was enormous, covered in dried blood, cracked bones, and teeth glinting under the dim light. Grooves carved into the stone formed a spiral pattern that throbbed like a heartbeat. Harper raised a large rock, slamming it against the altar with everything she had. The stone barely chipped. Suddenly, the forest erupted with chanting. Red, masked cult members emerged from the darkness, surrounding them in a tightening circle. The ground trembled as if something massive was waking beneath them. Ethan grabbed Harper's hand as the altar split open, releasing a sickening wave of heat and foul air. A monstrous figure rose, its body a grotesque fusion of roots, flesh, and bone. Its hollow, gaping face twisted toward them. This was the Hollow One, the creature the cult worshipped. Its presence felt wrong, ancient, hungry. Ethan realized they weren't just interrupting a ritual, they were standing on top of a prison about to break open. The blood moon rose like an open wound in the sky, casting the forest in a haunting red glow. In the center of a massive ritual circle, Lily was bound to stakes, surrounded by chanting cultists whose masks looked more monstrous in the crimson light. Ethan and Harper moved silently between the trees, flames from their torches flickering violently. They had one chance. When the chanting reached its peak, they set the outer circle on fire. The flames roared instantly, as if the forest wanted to burn. Masked figures screamed as their bodies twisted in the heat, revealing glimpses of something inhuman beneath their skin. In the chaos, Ethan ran to Lily, cutting the ropes with shaking hands. She sobbed, too weak to stand. The Hollow One surged from the flames, its tendrils latching onto Harper. Instead of running, Harper shoved Ethan and Lily away, clutching the last torch. She drove it into the creature's chest. A blinding burst of fire erupted, shaking the forest. The Hollow One writhed, its roar shattering the night before collapsing inward. Harper vanished with it. Ethan screamed her name, but it was too late. The ritual had taken her. For months, Redwood Hills pretended everything was normal again. The fires stopped, the chanting ceased, and the cult disappeared. Lily returned home, trying to rebuild her life, but something followed her back. At night, she found strange symbols burned into her mirrors, walls, and even her skin when she woke. Whispers crawled through her room, soft at first, then louder, repeating her name with chilling precision. Ethan tried to comfort her, but he felt it too, an unseen presence watching, waiting. One morning, Ethan's phone buzzed with a voicemail notification. When he played it, his blood ran cold. It was Harper's voice. Her breathing was ragged, distorted, and behind her voice, something growled. She said only 6 words, "The ritual isn't over, it chose you next." Ethan dropped the phone as every light in the house flickered violently. Outside, the forest glowed red again, pulsing like a living heart. The hollow one wasn't gone. It was awake. And this time, it wasn't waiting for a chosen girl. It was coming for anyone who survived.